All right, let's start with chemical bonding and molecular structure. Exemplar के solution शुरू करते हैं. पहला सवाल. Isostructural species are those which have the same shape and hybridization. All right. इसमें से कौन सी species isostructural pair होती हैं? Shape hybridization. You just have to count the number of lone pairs and bond pair basically. अगर same है, then we are good. That's a quick way of doing this. By the way, wondering what these videos are about, मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ कि एक्चुअल टेस्ट में कैसे जल्दी जल्दी सवाल किए जाए. ठीक है. If you're looking for teaching videos, you can go to bento.me/iteachchem and you can find everything that I worked on generally. Focus here is test taking. Okay. इसमें एक तो these are quicker videos. लोन पेयर है एंड 3 बॉन्ड पेयर है. सो इसमें लोन पेयर नहीं है तो ये दोनों सेम नहीं होंगे. इसमें 4 बॉन्ड पेयर है, नो लोन पेयर, and same with this as well. So the answer I feel should be this right here. We can just quickly check the other options. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2 lone pair, 3 bond pair, यहाँ पे no lone pair, तो this is out. इसमें एक lone pair है, इसमें lone pair नहीं है. So 3 bond pair, 1 lone pair, and yeah, इसमें जो है there are no bond pair. So clearly the answer should be option 2. Polarity in the molecule and hence the dipole moment depends primarily on electronegativity and shape of molecule. ठीक है. You know this idea, right? This is the direction if you have a less electronegative element over here and more electronegative element over here. दूसरी चीज़ ये कि अगर if you have a lone pair of electrons, then well the direction is always going to be there. So we got to cross out these that have that have zero dipole moment, which is just this one. Yeah, मैं जल्दी में अजीब चीज़ लिख दिया कि इसका zero, which is obviously not the case. This is what this looks like, which means कि इसका direction is going to be like this, and then interestingly this. ठीक है, SO2 ऐसा दिखता है. Water, you got to figure out basically water SO2 की. HI का dipole moment बहुत कम होता है क्योंकि I is not that electronegative as compared to H when you look at oxygen, right? Oxygen is definitely more electronegative than I. खैर, H2O is interesting. This is the direction, this is the direction, okay? And this is the direction, which is where things become interesting. And ये वाला weirds things out a little bit. So if you go in this direction वाली चीज़, looks like this stands out with the exception of ये kind of going down. But the easier way to look at it is, look, this is water at room temperature, which means that there is much better hydrogen bonding, etc., etc. So this should be the answer. Water should be the answer. इतना सोचने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. The only confusion you should have is between SO2 and H2O. In fact, the order is H2O, then SO2, then HI, and then CO2, which is clearly zero the dipole moment. I know, so we'll do this quickly. But ये theory ज़रूरी है यहाँ पे. आंसर तो बहुत 10-15 सेकेंड वाला ही है इसमें करने वाला. ठीक है. Okay, next one. Types of hybrid orbitals of nitrogen in NO2 plus, NO3 minus, NH4 plus respectively are. Theoretical question है. ठीक है. But you have to be very very clear about what these two are. If you're not sure about NO2 plus, it's okay. But ये दोनों चीज़ें तो आपको पक्का मालूम होनी चाहिए. ठीक है. NO3 minus कैसे दिखता है. One of these bonds is a coordinate bond, either this or that. Yeah, ये सब theory में पढ़ाया हुआ है. So if I look at this, clearly this is sp3, this is sp2. क्यों? क्योंकि we are only counting sigma bonds, okay, and lone pairs, okay. हाँ, तो इसमें से sp3 sp2 कौन सा वाला आ रहा है? NH4 sp3, सिर्फ these two options में this sp2, so 3 should be 2. I feel that's the answer. And this is sp, but how is it sp? अगर ये वाला याद नहीं है, then don't worry about it. Have done this in theory sessions, but you can figure out its structure given NO2 plus. थोड़ा सा effort लगेगा, but you don't need to in this question, as you've just seen. Okay, अगर theory पढ़नी है, you know what videos to check out. Hydrogen bonds are formed in many compounds. Okay, boiling point, yeah, depends large extent to the strength of hydrogen bond. यही मैं भी बात कर रहा था, पानी का सबसे ज़्यादा होगा, right? तो order में, where is water the highest? If you look at his options, answer is option 2. Don't even think about this one. Yeah, ये भी liquid है HF and this is a gas, NH3 is a gas. I know when you put NH3 in water, dissolve हो जाता है and it gives you NH4OH. I agree, but NH3 primarily is a gas, so you don't have to think about it so much. You can go ahead, draw the structures and figure out the different electronegativities and all that, but in this question करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. Boiling point पानी का ज़्यादा है, 100 degrees Celsius, HF is lower than NH3. Next one, this one interesting. Probably the most effort वाला question in all of these questions. PO4 3 minus, formal charge on oxygen क्या होगा? You need to know formal charge का definition. Without that, you're not doing this question. So it's important that you study formal charge, although it's an archaic idea and ज़्यादातर real life में इसका आजकल usage नहीं है, but फिर भी to get question like this, you need to know the definition is. There's nowhere else to do this, right? So I've marked the negative charge. This is how you draw the structures. I know P block आपके syllabus में नहीं है, but ये वाला part P block का I think is useful. If you're watching this 11th grade, don't worry about it. By the time you're done with 12th, you should be able to draw these structures. ठीक है? P block का ये वाला part ज़रूरी है structures बनाना, ताकि आप इन सब टाइप की चीज़ें कर सकें. Redox reaction या फिर ये वाले. Okay. PO4 3- तो एक मैं यहाँ पे डबल बॉन्ड डाल देता हूँ. Technically there is H here also, right? अगर if this is phosphoric acid, could be Na, could be anything else if it's a salt. Formal charge of oxygen PO bond, मतलब कि हम लोग इस बॉन्ड की बात कर रहे हैं, not the double bond but the single bond. Okay, ठीक है. Oxygen atom of this. तो okay, now let us go ahead and put down the lone pairs. एक बॉन्ड है और इसके पास इतने थे, एक बॉन्ड बना था and there were 6 electrons, right? There's a negative charge on this, which means yeah, this is the total number of electrons that are present that are not bonded. What is the definition of formal charge? Well, valence electrons minus unbonded electrons and also bonded pair. Now you have seen this definition, or you may also have seen something like half of bonded electrons. It's the same thing. Okay, half of bonded electron, yeah, bond pair is the same thing, right? Okay, I like writing bond pair, bonded pair of electrons to be specific, क्योंकि मेरे लिए दिमाग में ये ज़्यादा आसान है. Just count the lines, right? So I've got 6. Initially ऑक्सीजन में 6 होते हैं valence electrons. अभी कितने unbonded electrons कितने? 6 हैं. This is the most important part. Writing down 6. Don't write 4, okay? 6 है इसमें. And एक bond है यहाँ पे, तो हो गया इसका -1. That's it. You're done. You're sorted on this. I've seen places that will give you -0.75. They say कि चारों ऑक्सीजन equivalent है. Yeah, we can do all that, but at this point, I don't feel उसकी ज़रूरत है, because it's talking specifically about a PO bond and we assume that one of these is a double bond. ठीक है. In NO3 minus ion, the number of bond pairs and lone pairs electrons are what? Well, इसका मैं structure ऊपर already draw कर चुका हूँ, and I've told you that one of these was a coordinate bond. Could be this, could be this, but just one of them, not both. ठीक है. Keeping that in mind, nitrogen is only forming 4 bonds. That's the key. अगर इसमें से कोई ऑप्शन 5 होता, then that may have confused some of you, saying कि अरे यार 2 डबल बॉन्ड डाल देते हैं, but no, and nitrogen does not do that. ठीक है. So 4 is clearly the answer here, and 0, no lone pairs on this. Which of the following species has tetrahedral geometry? Tetrahedral geometry मतलब कि total number of lone pair plus bond pair should be equal to 4. Interesting. Well, you can get lost in this question, but पहला ही ऑप्शन देख के you can decide that, yo, this works, man. Usually, boron just forms 3 things, right? 3, what you might call it, bonds. But if I give it another hydride ion somehow, that is giving it electrons, the whole thing becomes this, okay? And then an electron deficient BH3, BF3, BH3, then becomes BH4 minus, which works. This is how this is tetrahedral. What about NH2 minus, CO32 minus, H3O plus? Complicated लग रहा है ना? What about H3O plus, in fact? Why is H3O plus not the answer? सोच के देखो आप. CO32 minus, carbon can form 4 bonds. It does. And generally, if you're forming this, you write this, but negative charge in दोनों oxygens में basically. So this is sp2, right? This is not tetrahedral. NH2 minus and H3O plus, खुद try करके देखो. H3O plus looks like it should be tetrahedral. No? Why is H3O plus not tetrahedral? मुझे तो लग रहा है ये भी होना चाहिए. आपको क्या लगता है? 7th one में आंसर 1 and 4 दोनों होना चाहिए. Why am I saying H3O plus भी tetrahedral होना चाहिए? Well, okay, I've got water. Oh, I think I've figured one thing out. This is what you got. Okay. Now here the geometry is bent. अगर मैं एक और डाल दूँ, which is another H over here, then is this, what is this? Would you call it trigonal planar, or would you call it tetrahedral? Think about this right here, right? There's a difference between shape, geometry, and in this case, in one you count the lone pairs, in the others you don't. So, सोच के देखो इसको. Number of pi bonds and sigma bonds in this following structure, and this is a funny question, right? Because I'll tell you why this is funny. क्योंकि आप you be like, where is that extra H atom that I'm not able to count? I'll tell you what I'm talking about. Number of pi bonds is very straightforward. You've got 5 of them, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's either this or this. Number of sigma bonds, I've seen students do funny things like, hey, let's count these. This is extra H, you haven't drawn here. And that's it. You're sorted. That's the number of sigma bonds. But no, all of these are also sigma bonds, right? So there's 11 inside this plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's 11 plus 9, which is 20 right here. It's more of a counting exercise than anything else. Okay. Hey, wait, hold on. 11 plus 9. No, not 9. Did I do 9? It should be 8, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. हाँ देखो मैंने भी जल्दी में ही गड़बड़ी कर दी. 9 नहीं 8 है. So answer is 3 right here. Which molecule ion out of the following does not contain unpaired electrons? Does not. Again, one of those questions that requires effort, requires theory basically. अगर आपको theory मालूम है, great. अगर नहीं, then we are in for a fun exercise. Theory क्या है? Sigma 1s2, sigma star 1s2, then sigma 2s2, sigma star 2s2. यहाँ तक सब कुछ सेम है, ठीक है? Okay. After this, things become interesting. You have either sigma 2pz, there's a less than, right? Energy level हम लोग draw कर रहे हैं. Then you have pi 2py equal to pi 2px. You're assuming that z is the internuclear axis. ये सब theory है, that's in NCERT, right? That's why this is z over here. अगर JEE advanced की बात हो रही है, then sometimes you could get something like, hey, you know what, z is not the internuclear axis, xy हो सकता है. I don't know if they want to just mess with you and make a different question that you haven't seen before. खैर anyway, this is for things that are greater than 14, which means इन दोनों के लिए ये वाला होगा. But for these two, इन दोनों के लिए this part is the same, but इसके बाद वाला part you have पहले pi 2px equal to pi 2py, and then you have sigma 2pz and so on and so forth. और भी चीजें हैं, but do we need them? We'll see. So there's 8 over here, ठीक है, और 1, 2, 3, 6 over here. So यहाँ पे 14 इलेक्ट्रॉन्स इधर हो गए, और 2 और डालना चाहो तो कहाँ डालोगे? You'll put it in pi star 2px equal to pi star 2py. हमको करना क्या है? Why am I doing all this? Does not contain unpaired electrons. यही तो निकालने कर रहा हूँ. तो चलो अगर odd electron species है like N2 plus, तो इसमें तो unpaired होंगे ही for sure. This is odd electron species. So let's eliminate. Odd electron species में तो होंगे ही. So get this out of the way. All of them are even then. Okay, ठीक है. 16 मतलब कि 2 यहाँ पे चले गए. एक एक करके जाएगा. This is in O2, right? So ये इसमें भी not the answer, right? 8 plus 6, 14 plus 1 plus 1, 16. 18 electrons. O2 2 minus has 18 electrons. Do you see that? O2 has 16 plus 2 18. मतलब कि ये दोनों भर जाएंगे. And hence this is the answer. ठीक है? Why is B2 not the answer? What is B? Boron क्या होता है? Hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron. मतलब कि lucky number 5. I don't know why I did that. Into 2, right? So you got 2 of those. So that's 10 electrons. Okay. Now, if you draw the structure correctly, if you draw this, what do you call it? Energy order correctly, if you write this down, then you will get this right because 8 तो यहाँ पे चले गए, plus 1 and 1 will go here and here. ठीक है? If by mistake you put sigma 2pz here, they will like, hey, you know, ये भी answer है, which is not true, obviously, right? So this has unpaired electrons. The answer here is 9th one के लिए होगा option 3. आगे बढ़ते हैं. Which the following molecule ion, all bonds are not equal. Now XeF4 looks like that's the answer, but ध्यान से देखो इसको. इसमें बन गए 4 bond and a couple of lone pairs. So all the bonds are equal. Sure, I've got lone pairs, but the bonds are equal. BF4 minus just like BH4 minus looks like this. All bonds seem equal. But हम लोग को इतना सब देखने की जरूरत ही नहीं है. See, in a test, identify what the option is looking like, right? C2H4 मतलब कि there's a double bond. Oops, सही क्या? हाँ सही है. It's fine, right? So then in that case, ये तो भाई हो गया pi bond, ये हो गया sigma bond. I mean, either one could be जो भी ऊपर नीचे कुछ doesn't matter, but they are clearly not equal bonds. Okay, so we don't have to worry about this, and this is the answer. SiF4, yeah, looks like this. That's the same in terms of equality of bonds and all. Which of the following substances will hydrogen bond be strongest? पानी. क्यों? Boiling point सबसे ज़्यादा है इसका. HCl तो गैस है, H2S भी गैस है, HI liquid है कि गैस है? I don't recall, but either way, H2 is the highest. If the electronic configuration of an element is समथिंग, ओके, कुछ दिया हुआ है. The 4 electrons involve chemical bonding. See, this is really direct if you have done D block, but अगर आप 11th grade में इसको देख रहे हो, this may be a little bit hard, like, yeah, 4s2 is the answer. Luckily 4s2 option नहीं है, because even that would be correct, theoretically speaking, right? D block elements show more than one valency. Anyway, so 4s2 and 3d2, both of these will go away. Answer should be fourth one for this. इसमें से कौन सा एंगल sp2 हाइब्रिडाइजेशन को रिप्रेजेंट करता है? You're counting the number of lone pairs and bond pairs. What is that number equal to in this case? sp2, मतलब कि एक s, I was going to add one s, but it's not one ssh, but plus p, दो p orbital, मतलब कि totally है 3 orbitals, right? And this is the central metal atom. Let's just call it x, has 3 bonds, 120 degrees. Okay, that's the way you figure this out. Okay, यहाँ पे 3 elements की electronic configuration दी है और इस पर हमको फिगर आउट करना है क्या हो रहा है. दिस इज अ नोबल गैस क्लियरली, राइट. दिस इज नाइट्रोजन. आई नो दिस, बट यू डोंट हैव टू नो दैट. इज 3p3, राइट, विच इज हाफ फिल्ड p ऑर्बिटल, राइट. 3p, not 2p. Okay, no, this is not right. This is phosphorus. Brilliant. ये वाला कौन सा है? और ये क्लोरीन हो जाएगा. This is 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, great. So, all right, let's answer now. Stable form of A is just going to be A, because this is a noble gas. We figured that out. Stable form of C, yeah, chlorine C, yeah, chlorine, fluorine, all of them, Cl2. That's a stable form. 15-2. सही है. Comprehension type question. Interesting. Quick ones. 15th हो गया. 16. The molecular formula of the compound formed between B and C. This is interesting. I've identified as P and Cl, so I can form two things. I can form PCl3 and PCl5. But in this case, only एक option दिया. If it had BC5 as well, then that could be an answer too. Right? You know that these exist. And this is interesting because it has d orbitals. Okay. There is no NCl5, but PCl5 exists because it has d orbitals, so it expands the octet and all of that. The bond between B and C will be covalent. आगे बढ़ा जाए. Nice. I like this comprehension kind of question where you can like just do things so quickly and in a fun way. Oh, this is a funny question. Where the following order of energies of molecular orbitals of N2 is incorrect? Oh, sorry, is correct. Less than, almost equal to. Okay. Greater than is weird. I see this to be extremely weird right over here. If you put this order, this could now, I don't know. This is a little confusing to see. So I'm going to go with 1 and just check एक बार N2. Yeah, this makes sense. This is the answer. I think this question could have been made complicated if all the orders were still listed down as a less than thing and the question was asked to compare between O2 and N2, but this is definitely the answer for N2. This is theoretical questions. में ज़्यादा दिमाग लगाने का scope नहीं है. Which of the following statements is not correct from the viewpoint of molecular orbital theory? BE2 is not a stable molecule. Why? Hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium. Okay. So BE2 would basically be 8, right? 1s2, sigma star, 1s2, sigma 2s2, sigma star 2s2, right? So यहाँ पे, if you can see that all the bonding electrons minus anti-bonding electrons by 2, which basically is the bond order, happens to be 0, right? 8 है मतलब 4 minus 4 0 हो गया, तो not unstable हो गया. ठीक है, ये सही है. He2 is not stable. He2 plus is expected to exist. You'll have 4 electrons again. If there are 4, then it's not going to be stable. He plus में एक electron हटा दिया. Then if you remove one electron, the bond order now is 2 minus 1 by 2. Yeah, sure, awesome, kind of works, right? You have 2 in the bonding bonding, which is sigma, and sigma star में सिर्फ एक है. Half a bond order can exist. Cool. All right. Bond strength of N2 is maximum among the homonuclear. अच्छा ठीक है. Let's see why. We can spend the effort of writing this, but luckily in this question ये पूरा दिया ही हुआ है यहाँ पे. ठीक है. इससे पहले sigma 1s और sigma star 1s होगा, but it doesn't matter because these 4 get cancelled out. Okay. 2 सब में डालोगे तो 8 इलेक्ट्रॉन पहले खत्म हो गए. Cancel out मतलब we are talking about bond order निकालने के लिए. ठीक है. सो अगर वहाँ पे 8 इलेक्ट्रॉन हो गए, पहले चारों में चले गए, How many do you have remaining? You have 6 to get to N2. Okay, so if you put them here, 2 go here, 1, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Okay, so this is what N2 looks like. Okay, यहाँ तक खत्म. And order of energy N2 molecule, yeah. This is ये वाला. Hey, hold on. हमको क्या निकालना है? Is this correct? I'm a little confused though. Wait a minute. Yeah, theory है यार. ये गलत है. The order should be pi 2px equal to pi 2py. अभी हमने ऊपर ही लिखा था ये चीज़. Less than sigma 2pz. Right? So anyway, the nitrogen का bond order stuff still works out to be okay. 3 is correct because you have 6 in bonding electrons minus 0 of anti-bonding electrons by 2, which gives me the value of 3, which is the highest bond order possible, right? 14 का हम लोगों we do this when we try and solve questions कि नाइट्रोजन सबसे ज़्यादा होता है, फिर नाइट्रोजन से अगर एक इलेक्ट्रॉन कम कर दिया तो बॉन्ड ऑर्डर आधा कम हो जाएगा, अगर नाइट्रोजन से एक इलेक्ट्रॉन बढ़ा दिया तब भी बॉन्ड ऑर्डर कम हो जाएगा by half. You know this trick, right? 15, 16, from 14 bond order is 3. When you go to 15 it becomes 2.5. When you go to 16 it becomes 2 oxygen. फिर कम किया 14 से 13 किया, अगेन आधा कम हो जाता है. यू कैन फिगर आउट बाय दिस इटसेल्फ पुटिंग द इलेक्ट्रॉन्स हियर. ओके, करेक्ट बॉन्ड ऑर्डर क्या है इसमें इन ऑप्शंस में? 20th क्वेश्चन, इसमें से करेक्ट बॉन्ड ऑर्डर किसका है? और अभी तो मैंने बता रहा था आपको, यही चीज यहाँ पे यूज होगी. आई स्वेयर आई डिड नॉट प्लान दिस, आई शुड हैव, बट दिस इज एग्जैक्टली व्हाट्स हैपनिंग हियर. चलो, इसमें 16 है, O2 माइनस में कितने हो गए? 17 हो गए, इसके हो गए 15. So, as I was telling you, when you go from 14, that's a bond order of 3. You go to 15, 16, 17, bond order becomes 2.5, 2 and then 1.5. So, 17 का सबसे कम होगा, I feel, bond order. And then 16 and then so 20 should be 2, right? This is how you're going to do it in a test. If you want the theory, go over what I've told you. If you want detail, check out the videos. But this is how you do it in a test, just with this 14 wala idea. Okay, the electronic configuration of the outermost shell of the most electronegative element. Most electronegative fluorine है कि chlorine है? Fluorine है. Fluorine has the highest electron gain enthalpy. ठीक है, don't get confused between this and this. So fluorine का हो गया 2p5. Woo. Last question from single correct. Among the following elements whose electronic configuration are given below, one having the highest ionization enthalpy. Ionization enthalpy. मतलब क्या है? इलेक्ट्रॉन निकालना है, right? That energy is the least. So clearly this is 3p1. Okay, easy to get out. 3p3. Oh, we got to look at the 3p3 and 4p3, right? Because these are half filled, and I would go with 3p3 being the strongest because it's closer to the nucleus. Closer to the nucleus it is, stronger those interactions are going to be between the nucleus and the outermost electrons, right? 4p3 थोड़ा दूर हो गया, उसमें बीच में देखो 3d10 भी आ गया, which kind of makes things better. But yeah, clearly between these two it is option 2. That's the right answer. Okay, we'll do the rest of them in another video.